You might have noticed in your email spam folder, at some point, an email bearing one of your passwords as the subject line. Contained within these emails are threats to expose your personal information, or even worse consequences, unless you pay a ransom, typically demanded in Bitcoin. These threats are often the work of hackers or sometimes regular individuals who easily access such information through various data breach databases found on criminal forums. In March 2019, a 25-year-old man named Joe Alderney received a similar threatening email. The email subject was a password that Joe used for all his accounts, naturally setting off alarms. He opened the email to find a message that essentially said, "Hey Joe, I know your password and other personal details. I won't pursue or harm you if you send me $5,000 in Bitcoin. Consider it a donation for a good cause rather than blackmail. Here's my Bitcoin address. If you don't comply, be prepared for bad things to happen. Don't waste your time with the police. This email can't be traced." Joe, after conducting some research, discovered that these types of intimidating emails are typically common scams that often lead to no actual threat. Nevertheless, he decided to respond to the email out of curiosity and a bit of defiance, asking the sender to reveal any other personal information they had on him. He wasn't expecting a reply, but to his surprise, he got one. The response stated that the sender knew his home address and warned of consequences if he involved the police. This revelation escalated Joe's concern significantly. A leaked password is one thing, but a stranger threatening him with his home address was far more serious. Joe chose not to respond immediately to the email, nor did he approach the police. Instead, he opted to wait and see what would happen next. After 3 days, he received another email, pressing for the payment and indicating impatience. Joe replied defiantly this time, stating he wouldn't pay the demanded $5,000 and warning the blackmailer of a violent retaliation should they attempt to come to his house. Joe's claim of having a gun was a mere bluff, as he didn't actually own one, something the hacker might have already known. This suspicion seemed confirmed when, that same evening, Joe received another email, this time with a photo of his house, specifically zooming in on his bedroom window in his parents' house. Hesitant to worry his parents, Joe initially kept the situation to himself. However, with his gun bluff failing, he realized he might need to involve them or the police. Joe sent another reply, explaining his inability to pay the demanded sum. He mentioned he was burdened with student loans and clarified that the house in the picture belonged to his parents, who were innocent in the matter. He pleaded with the blackmailer to target someone else, as he was financially incapable of meeting their demands. This message was met with silence. However, within an hour, the tranquility of the house was shattered by the sound of breaking glass. A decorative brick from the front of the house was found inside the dining room, amidst countless shards from a broken window. Joe hastily briefed his parents about the situation, and while he and his father searched outside for any signs of the perpetrator, his mother contacted the police. Joe presented the threatening emails to the police officers who arrived at his house, and the emails were subsequently forwarded to the police department for further investigation. To ensure the family's safety, a police officer remained parked outside the Albany residence for several hours that night. Joe took precautions by blocking the email address to prevent any further communication, and to his knowledge, he received no further contact from the sender. The police faced challenges in tracing the original source of the email, as it was sent from a device that couldn't be tracked, possibly an iPod Touch or something similar. The situation highlights a broader issue that many people don't consider when fantasizing about fame. While being in the public eye can seem like living a fairy tale, the reality often includes significant drawbacks, such as dealing with stalkers and overzealous fans. A striking example involves a former radio host and DJ based in Los Angeles, who endured a relentless stream of emails from an obsessed fan. This ordeal began around 2005 or 2006, when the DJ noticed a regular listener, who frequently called into the show, and even won a prize at one point. The need to exchange emails to deliver the prize marked the start of an escalating situation. To maintain politeness and goodwill, the DJ responded to all the emails sent by the fans. As Facebook gained popularity, he accepted her friend request, and she frequently liked and commented on his posts. This interaction continued until the fan declared her love for him one day. The DJ politely declined her advances, hoping that would be the end of the matter. However, in 2011, she sent him a link to a blog where she obsessively wrote about him and their supposed romance, updating it multiple times daily. She continued to follow his career closely, interpreting the songs he played on his new radio station as personal messages. For instance, whenever he played "Marry Me" by Train, she interpreted it as a marriage proposal from him. The situation escalated as she began to save and post his social media photos, including those of other women in his life, like friends and girlfriends, on her blog, accompanied by extremely hateful language. Her posts oscillated wildly between rage, calling him a womanizer, and softer, apologetic tones, suggesting possible bipolar tendencies. Her behavior was a clear indication of an unhealthy and obsessive infatuation. The DJ attempted to disregard the unsettling situation, though he was deeply disturbed by the fans' behavior. Her relentless emails continued, prompting him to assertively ask her to cease contact, but to no avail. In response to her misuse of his photos on her blog, he filed DMCA requests, leading to the blog's eventual shutdown. However, this led her to switch to emailing him directly. To avoid seeing her messages, he set up a filter to direct them to a separate folder, only occasionally glancing at them out of curiosity. Over the years, he refrained from responding to any of her emails, especially after firmly instructing her to stop all communication. Despite this, she persisted, sending him a total of over 4,000 emails, all of which he archived. A snapshot of just a few of these emails revealed a concerning shift to a darker, more violent tone. In one of the more recent emails, she threatened to find and harm the DJ, expressing a willingness to face jail time. Another disturbing email pinpointed the specific neighborhood where he lived, raising fears that she might have his exact address, since she already knew the town he resided in. To limit the dissemination of his personal information, the DJ had previously deleted all his social media accounts. Despite this, the obsessed fan continued to email him pictures from his friends' public profiles and images of him from radio station events. In a particularly unsettling move, she sent him photographs of a shrine she had created in her home, adorned with framed pictures of him and posts from his social media, displayed on walls and desks. Given the nature of his job as a DJ, his work schedule was publicly available, making it possible for her to locate him at nightclubs, which understandably heightened his concerns for his safety. Despite consulting multiple attorneys, he struggled to find legal assistance for his situation. His reluctance to file a restraining order stemmed from a fear of encountering the fan in person and the possibility that the legal process might inadvertently disclose his home address to her if she didn't already have it. To date, there is no known follow-up to this situation, and it remains unclear if the harassment persisted or what actions, if any, the DJ took to address it. This case exemplifies how extreme fan obsession can adversely impact a person's well-being and mental health. Separately, a viewer named Christian reached out with a request to share his experience of receiving multiple troubling emails in a story video. Christian's friend Katie, whom he knew from a previous job, went out for a job interview. After the interview, Christian tried to contact her, but found that his texts were not being delivered and his calls went straight to voicemail. Initially, he thought Katie's phone might be off or out of service. However, as time passed with no response and messages still not being delivered, Christian grew worried. The most logical explanation seemed to be that Katie had either lost or damaged her phone. Later, to Christian's relief, his text finally showed as delivered, yet Katie did not respond. That day, while checking his email, Christian noticed a message from Katie's old work email. The email requested that he come to pick her up near an old warehouse, across from a Hyatt place. Christian responded, asking when she last had her phone and how she might have lost it. Katie's terse reply was that she had no idea and urged him to come quickly, providing an address. Although Christian noted it would take 20 minutes to reach the location, a look at the address on the map showed it led to a parking lot of what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse, characterized by overgrown greenery and a deteriorating rooftop. Christian, feeling uneasy about the location Katie requested for pickup, replied to her email, suggesting a safer location. However, she quickly responded, insisting she was already seated on a bench at the designated spot and urged him to hurry. Christian then set out in his car, following the directions to the indicated address. Midway through the journey, he paused, struck by a realization. He wondered how Katie was managing to use her laptop to email him from a random parking lot near an abandoned warehouse. While the possibility of nearby free Wi-Fi existed, it seemed highly improbable. This raised Christian's suspicions about the entire situation. The fact that Katie was using her laptop instead of approaching the hotel across the street to call him added to his doubts. He attempted to call her number several times, and to his surprise, it rang instead of going directly to voicemail. On his third attempt, the call connected briefly, likely by accident. At this point, Christian grew increasingly suspicious, considering the possibility that Katie's belongings, including her phone, might have been stolen. Christian contacted Katie's brother to discuss the odd situation and seek his advice. Initially, he inquired if Katie's brother had heard from her. Surprisingly, he was informed that Katie had been home for the past 2 hours and that her backpack and phone had been stolen. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Christian exclaimed over the phone that he was being missiled to a suspicious parking lot by someone likely using Katie's email from her stolen laptop. Acting swiftly, Christian drove straight to Katie's house to collect her and her brother. Together, they left a voicemail on Katie's phone, threatening consequences if the stolen items weren't returned. They suspected these threats might go unheard if the thief lacked the phone's passcode. They also sent several unanswered texts. After contacting the police for help at the parking lot, a patrol car arrived but found the area deserted as expected. No further emails came through, and Katie's phone was never activated again, presumably discarded by the thief. Unfortunately, Katie never recovered her belongings. However, there was a silver lining. Christian possibly evaded a dangerous trap, which could have led to him being robbed or harmed.